Hi, I'm Ellen. A lot of the land in Wausau is used for recreation.
Hi, my name is Andrea. Where I live in Milwaukee, the land is covered with buildings.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and where I live in La Crosse, the land is covered with hills and valleys.
Hi, my name is Peter. Most of the land around my house in Ashland is used for farming.
Hi, I'm Curtis from Green Bay. A lot of the land around my house is used for parking.
My name is Katrina, and the land around my house in Kushina is covered with trees. Hi, my name is Maya, and I live in Madison. A lot of the land is used for buildings and busy streets.
How is the land used where you live, and how does that affect you? That's what we're going to talk about today. Think about the space around you, not outer space, but just the space around you at this moment in school, or the spaces you have at home, in your room, or in your yard. Do you ever help arrange the things in that space, or make plans to change it? If you do, you are creating a place out of space, and that's what geography is all about, turning spaces into places. And it's something you'll be doing all your life, whether it's helping to create a classroom, a yard, a farm, or even a city. Sometimes making changes in your room or yard can make you feel differently about that space or even about yourself. Changes happen in the space all around us too, in the home we all share, Wisconsin. Remember last time we took a look at this great land? We saw Wisconsin's great variety and beauty, the wonderful different spaces and places created by nature and people. This time we're going to talk about how those spaces are used. One of the best ways to tell that story is with maps. Last time we used a map to talk about the different regions in Wisconsin. Remember how most of the land is used in the northern highland for wildlife and recreation, the central sand plain for growing vegetables, the eastern ridges and lowlands for dairy farming and for cities, and most of our population lives in this region too. Maps can show how things have changed. There was a time when most of our land was either forest or prairie. A vegetation map of Wisconsin 1,000 years ago shows forest over the northern and eastern areas, and prairies in the south and southwest. Let's take a look at how the use of our prairie has changed over the years. At first, the grassy prairies and park-like areas called oak savannas were home to many types of wild animals. Native Americans living in these areas hunted buffalo, elk, deer, and prairie chickens. They may have kept the prairies open by occasionally setting carefully controlled fires. This land management plan attracted the wildlife they depended on. But when new settlers arrived from the east, they brought different ideas and plans. They built houses and farms and used huge plows and strong teams of oxen or horses to plow the grasses under. After working hard to turn the prairie into cropland, the farmers planted wheat. Our state became the #1 wheat-growing area in the nation. But after a few years, that too changed, as many wheat fields became dairy farms. Then came more roads, highways, factories, and towns. Most of the original prairie lands disappeared. A few sections of the old prairie are protected and preserved today, so we can appreciate what some of our state's land was like long ago. Meanwhile, the change in what was the prairie continues. Cities grow, more houses are built, and the dairy farmland, which replaced the wheat fields, which replaced the prairie, is itself being changed. But land use changes are happening everywhere in Wisconsin, including your neighborhood.
Where I live, they're building a lot of new houses.
Where I live, they're building a new road. In my neighborhood, they're moving a house.
Near my house, they're building a mall and old farmland. In Ashland, they're dredging the harbor to make it deeper.
In my neighborhood, they tore down this building to put up a parking ramp.
Last year, this was a parking lot.
When land use changes, it means that somebody has made a decision about the land. But who makes the choices and how do they decide? Let's try an experiment. Suppose that your teacher has asked you to redesign your space in the classroom. What things would you have to consider? Do you think you and all your classmates could agree on one plan?
No, the teacher's desk doesn't have to stay the same.
No.
We can put that in the middle of the room.
But then how are they going to see the chalkboard? They're going to have to like move their chair and turn it.
Facing this way.
How about the flag? Where do we put the flag?
The flag should be like right here because we're like this. You're doing it the wrong way. You're going like this.
This is how it's supposed to be.
It's the same thing. Look at the, oh, like that. Where are we going to put the fish tank? Where do we have the fish tank?
It may be a while before they agree on how the classroom space will be used. But do you see how these things work? It's the same way when adults have to decide how to use their spaces. Just like the young geographers in the classroom, people may disagree. Sometimes there are conflicts and arguments, but usually they find a way to agree. That's what happened with one important piece of land in the eastern part of our state. Do you recognize where we are? This is a part of the city of Milwaukee, near Lake Michigan, where we can see a number of very different land uses right next to each other. Marina and park, a major roadway with parking areas, office towers downtown, and apartments and houses where people live. Why is there a road right through the park along the beach? How did someone decide there would be no homes or office buildings near the water? And who decided? We're going to talk to someone in Milwaukee whose job it is to plan these things. This is Tom Miller, Director of City Planning for Milwaukee. Hi, Tom. Thanks for talking with us today.
Hi, Liz. Welcome to Milwaukee.
Thank you. Tell us, we were wondering, why aren't there houses and buildings along the lakefront?
The people of the state of Wisconsin decided that there shouldn't be.
Why?
They thought that the lakefront was such an important natural resource that it should be available to all the people for recreation.
If you can't decide how to use the lakefront, what do you do as a city planner?
We work on plans for the rest of the city, which is a very large area, and it's a big challenge. One of the areas that we're working on is the northwest side of the city. This is an area that was annexed to Milwaukee, was brought into the city about 25 years ago, and at that time it was farmland. It was vacant and ready for new development. Since that time, we have been working on plans that suggest where different types of development should occur.
There are a lot of colors on this map. Does each color have a meaning?
They do. The yellow, for instance, indicates residential areas. People live in these areas. These are neighborhoods. The blue is industrial areas, places where people can locate businesses. And of course, then, the people who live in these areas might be employed in the blue area.
What about the brown on top?
That's a shopping center. It's the Northridge Shopping Center. And of course, it's a place for the people who live in this area to go shopping.
What is this long green strip?
Green is parkland. And as you can see, it's a long, narrow strip. It follows a river.
Why did they decide to put a park along the river?
Well, there are really two reasons. One is people like water for recreation. They like to be near water for picnics or just to walk and stroll. But secondly, remember the floods that occurred along the Mississippi? This river can also flood. And so instead of allowing houses to be built right next to it that could get flooded out, the city policymakers decided that it should be left as open space. And so if it ever floods, then of course it'll just back up into fields and marshlands.
Great. Thank you very much, Tom.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Here's our classroom map. Children took the empty space of a classroom and made a place to learn after some debate. And here's our city map. The city planner looks at the space within a city's boundary and tries to create a better place. He has to settle a few conflicts too. And throughout our home, thousands of people are making choices every day that affect the land. Sometimes there are conflicts here too. Let's take another look at Wisconsin's land. Remember, it's the result of what nature has provided, plus the choices people have made about how to use it. The northern highland region has most of our lakes and forests. What choices have people made about land use here? For the first people here, it was a source of food and shelter. Later, the loggers came to use it as a source of lumber. After many years, we have chosen to use it primarily for recreation and wildlife. But today, changes continue, and there will be conflicts. For example, a resort owner decides to expand the resort so that more visitors can come and enjoy the North Woods. That could mean that more land is taken for roads and parking. Some people will like that, and some people will not. In the Central Sand Plain, most of the land is used for vegetable farming, and some for recreation. Do you think these uses conflict? In this region, the recreation land is not great for farming, and the farmland, flat and sandy, is not often used for recreation. So land use arguments might not happen as often as in other places, such as the eastern ridges and lowlands, from Green Bay to the Fox River and south to Madison and Milwaukee. This part of our state not only has most of Wisconsin's dairy farms, it also has most of our people, highways, and cities. And this region also has many beautiful recreation areas and state parks. With farms, cities, and recreation lands, do you think there are conflicts here about how land is used? When cities grow, what happens? How do you think people feel about these changes? If you are the family moving into a new house, you might feel one way. But if you lived at the farmhouse across the street, you might feel a different way. Because this region of Wisconsin is changing so much, in the years ahead there will be many disagreements about how the land is used. There will be many important choices to make. Who decides? I think you know that you geographers will help make those choices.